Hey Stitch family, it's Andrew here. I hope you are having a fantastic week. This week's community update is about some changes that we're introducing to the discussion forums on Stitch. And even if you're not a regular user of discussion forums, I'd recommend watching just because many of the principles that we're bringing in are going to find their way eventually into the community as a whole. And it's all geared around the idea of making the Stitch experience as positive it can be, as positive an experience as it can be for everyone in the community. Shall we get started? All right, so as I said, we're introducing some changes to the way discussion forums are moderated and managed inside the community. And one of the drivers for this, and we've talked about this in the past, is we've found over time, as we've learned in the community, that it doesn't take very much for one badly behaved person to bring everybody else down, particularly when it comes to online communication, because a whole lot of people might be sitting there watching and one or two people behave badly, whether it's disrespectful to others or just being generally divisive in the community and causing trouble. And that's actually has a large negative impact, an outsized negative impact on everybody else. This is a general thing. It happens it can happen at in-person events and activities and so on as well. So I'm going to talk about that a bit later. But our focus right now is on the discussion forums, because when you're online, you can't see how everyone else in the room is reacting. You're just seeing the things that are being posted. And if someone's really divisive or aggressive or so on, it can make you feel terrible. And you don't know that everybody else has the same opinion as you. Now, as a reminder, the only reason Stitch exists is to help our members form positive, enriching social connections. That's it. That's why the community exists. And when it comes to the discussion forums, we often get asked, well, why do you have discussion forums? Well, that's an important role for some members of the community. Many members don't use the forums, but for many members, it's a way to find like-minded friends to talk about things that are important to you. It might be the widows and widowers forum. It might be issues about, how do I find housing? It might be helpful. How do we help each other? All those kind of positive things, fantastic. It might be your opinions around a range of topics, and that's absolutely fine. But it's really important to remember it's only there for the sole purpose of helping you have an enriching and positive experience. Stitch is not a general purpose discussion forum. It's not a place to go to have massive arguments and debates. It's not a place to it's not a place for massive free speech where anyone can say whatever they want and they can abuse anybody at any time. That's how some places work on the internet, and if that's what you're looking for, that's fine. Go for it. Go to one of those places. But on Stitch, everything that happens is done within this framework of is this making a positive contribution to the fabric of our community? And if it's not, then our view is there's actually not a place for that on Stitch. So we have a bunch of moderation rules and reporting features in Stitch where members can report features that breach the rules, and they can downvote things that they think are out of line with our community guidelines. And if you're not familiar with the guidelines, I would recommend taking a look at them. They lay out all of the prohibited behaviours on Stitch, but also the sort of behaviours that we'd like to discourage, because we know that in the end it creates negative outcomes for our members, and all the behaviours we want to encourage, like being kind and welcoming and supporting and friendly and so on, because that's what makes the community magical, right? So we have a bunch of those moderation rules in place, and the Stitch actually has an algorithm to actually look at a lot of the comments and how people interact with each other over time. And so over the last few years, we've formed a database of billions of these data points of interactions between members and so on. And we've developed a way for the system to identify, are people behaving in ways that are essentially harmonious and positive for the community in some way, or are they being divisive and negative? Now, it's okay to be opinionated. It's okay to have a discussion about a topic. It might be politics or religion. Our view is it's okay to have those discussions if you can do it in a way that's respectful, that doesn't bring other people down, that doesn't inflame tempers or provoke negative outcomes, and it clearly meant to stir the pot. Those things really aren't actually what the community is about. The community is about, oh, well, actually, I care about this issue. I'd like to have a chat about it. But if someone has an opposite opinion, I'm going to engage respectfully with them, and we can have a discussion. I always assumed that's how all Stitch members would behave, and 99% of people do. It's just this 1% who are problematic. So one thing we've introduced is now on Stitch, you're able to see your rating, the way that the Stitch system over your contributions to the community have been assessed. And for most people, it's going to be excellent or good, and that's fine. And if that's the case, no problems, go for it. You're having a great old time. If you find though, or if Stitch finds that you are persistently divisive, you exhibit divisive behaviors in the community that are stirring up problems, intentionally provocative, just for the sake of being provocative, things like that, you'll see that on your rating. And here's where you can find the ratings. You just go to settings, under the more menu on Stitch, go to profile and settings, and then down here you'll see achievement, your ratings, feedback and achievements. And you can take a look here and it'll tell you things like number of events you've attended and so on. But it gives you ratings on your individual one-on-one interactions, your ratings as an organizer if you organize events, and your ratings that Stitch gives you as a commenter. And as I said, if it's good or excellent, that's fantastic. If it says something like it's divisive or extremely divisive, something like that, that's going to be an issue. And then there are going to be a number of people, the system doesn't know yet whether it has enough information to know whether you're well behaved or not. It might be uncertain about it, and that generally means there's some concerns there, but it doesn't have enough data to make a decision yet. Anyway, those ratings, we'll be documenting them in more detail in the coming weeks. But those ratings are Stitch's assessment of your behavior in the community forums and in comments on events, activities, and groups. Basically, how you behave online. And what you're going to find is if you end up having a negative, if you are a divisive person in the community, you're going to find that there are certain things you're not going to be able to do on Stitch. You might not be able to create new discussion posts. There may be some discussions where an organizer really only wants well-behaved members in that discussion, so you wouldn't be able to contribute to those ones. In other ones, you'd be welcome. If you've got a low rating, it's just time to step back and think about how you behave in your interactions with other members in the community forums. Are you always respectful? Do you talk down to people and belittle them? Do you stir the pot and things like that? It's understandable that this might happen, but it's time to change, because Stitch isn't the sort of community where we're here to create, as I say, negative outcomes for other members. It's all about creating those positive experiences, even when we disagree with other people. Okay, so I'd encourage you to, if you are unclear on what your rating is, go take a look. We will be rolling out some of the features around these restrictions for people who've caused problems in the community. It's not a tragedy, but it does mean that you have to, if you are if your ratings are really bad, it's really time to start changing your behavior, because you're going to find that there's just less and less you can do in the community online if that's the way you behave. And as I said, we make no apologies about that, because Stitch is here for a positive experience for everybody, rather than one or two people just shouting at other people and causing problems. It's worth saying we've got over 200,000 members on Stitch. In all of our analysis, it's a tiny handful, probably less than 30 people who kind of fall into this extreme bracket. So don't worry too much. You're going to find yourself okay. Most of you will either be in the good category or you might not have enough data yet. Okay, it's a work in progress, and please give us your feedback if you're concerned about it. But as I say, we make no apologies about actually trying to create a good environment for all our members. And if some people can't behave in ways that are consistent with the guidelines, and the guidelines are very detailed, then they're just going to find that the community is not for them. Okay, That's it for this week. I'm sure it's going to be one that many people would like to discuss. There'll probably be discussion forums about this topic. It's part of our commitment to make such a wonderful, safe place for everybody. And if you've got any questions, please let us know in the comments below. Hope you have a wonderful week ahead. Look after yourself. And if you can get along to a Stitch event or activity, look after someone else as well. Be welcoming, be inclusive, because remember, you are a valued, amazing member of the community, and we want you and everybody else to have as wonderful experience as possible. Bye for now.